This session is all about attracting, recruiting, and retaining staff and salespeople. Okay, so it's a workshop for owners, managers, recruiters, etc. And the main theme, I had a question for you yesterday, right? Yesterday morning. What was the question again?
Are you ready to take another level?
Is there another level for you? That's right. Today's question is, would you follow you? Would you follow you? There are two types of leaders. Those that attract followers and those that attract leaders. Those that attract followers, they need to be needed. So there's two types. One is attracting just followers, just people to like get in line and do what you tell them, and they're not going to ever evolve or become a leader. But to really blow up a business, you've got to scale through people and attract incredible people, which is what we're going to talk about today. I believe in attracting incredible people. I believe the number one way to scale a business is through people. Those that attract leaders, they want to be succeeded. They're okay with someone else ending up passing them and being better than them and like taking on a specific role. Those that attract just followers, they want recognition. Those that attract leaders, they want to reproduce themselves. Those that attract followers, they focus on others' weaknesses. Those that attract leaders, they focus on others' strengths. It'd be so easy for me to sit here and be like, okay, you know what? Let's talk about Frank's weaknesses here for a few minutes, okay? He may be like, bro, it may take a few hours, okay? Likewise. Maybe a few days, both of us. Or we could just say, you know what? Frank is phenomenal in this one area. We're going to highlight that. We're going to focus on that. And we're going to put Frank in his strength. And that's all he's going to do all day. He'd be happier, and the company would go farther. It's a different way of thinking, though. Those that attract followers, they spend their time with others. Spend it as a key word, instead of investing their time with others. A new sales rep, I take them to lunch on day 2. So day 2, because it's interesting, there's two things that we've changed over time. One is we do an 8:30 company meeting every single day with multiple companies and about 60, 70 people to kick off our day at 8:30. Well, we added the meeting because people are showing up late to work at 8:30. And I'm like, hey, let's put a bunch of us in a circle talking, and we have somebody like motivating us for the morning, and then if somebody walks in late, and the door opens and they walk in and it's like, oh, nobody wants to, they don't want that. I also used to lead that meeting. I don't anymore, because when I led that meeting, if I had a bad weekend or a bad morning, or I was upset about sales, or I was upset at the team or whatever, I would take it out on the team at 8:30 in the morning. It's not a very positive, exciting way to start the day. Then, instead of that, I had someone else named Steve that does the meeting now, every day at 8:30. But he's constantly positive, and the team loves it, right? And it's just better for the organization. Also, too, we do again, when I talk about sales, I'll jump into sales a little bit later, but we have certain things that we do with our sales team that we've implemented along the way that have made it a more positive working environment. Those that attract followers, they experience some success. Those that attract leaders, they experience incredible success. I believe that great leaders are a magnet for talent. And the truth is, we need talent. Even if it's an assistant, we need talent to explode an organization. So would you follow you? Next, great leaders have beliefs. Every organization needs core values. Ours are reliable, integrity, results-oriented, and speed. Reliable, we're people of our word. Integrity, we're committed to always doing the right thing. Results-oriented, we are focused on hitting our metrics. And speed, we are quick to take action and communicate. And we move extremely fast in my office. That's just my personality style. But these core values give our company an identity. And then I'm able to hire people that can help uphold the identity and that are more a part of the identity. I can also let them know when I'm hiring them, hey, these are our core values. This is what we expect out of you. And then let's just say that they're working and in sales, but they're not getting results. Then it's not like me saying, hey, you're not getting results. It's saying, hey, as a company, we have a core value. It's results-oriented, and you're not delivering results. And then it's the company versus them instead of me versus them, right? Because that's our identity as a company. So we can literally fire off of those as well. A mission statement to help every insurance agent in the world. Every company needs a core vision and mission along the way. Standards. Don't lower them. If anything, raise them. So let's just say we had a contest with our team, and it was like, hey, if we do $100,000 this week, we're going to buy everybody pizza next Friday, whatever it is. We're going to go golfing, whatever they want to do. But if the company, like it's Friday and it's 5:29 p.m., our office hours are 8:30 to 5:30 every day, and we're at 60,000, 59,000. Okay, great job, guys. We're going to actually do another contest next week, and it's going to be 60,000 instead of 100. Well, what does that do, man? It demotivates. It reduces confidence. It tells them, hey, we're not good enough to get here, so we're just going to do this now. If anything, never lower a target. Never lower standards. It's interesting, when people get in the insurance business, what do they say they want to make their first year, typically? Like every new agent in the world, I want to make what? $100,000 every single time, like clockwork. They don't even know why. They're just like, dude, if I can make $100,000, I can drive a Bugatti, I can retire, I can play on the golf course every day, and I'm set for life. I used to think like 6-7 years ago, I'm like, if I could just consistently make like, $5,000 a week, my life is like perfect. That's over. But anybody that's made $2,000 a week or $5,000 a week, you just spend it all, and then you realize you can't retire, you need more money. Right? But it's interesting because every new agent says, I want to make $100,000 my first year. But they don't not make $100,000. Like I made $117,000 my first 8 months. Mark Aker, who was in here the last session, a good buddy of mine, he lives near Springfield as well. He hit 147 his first year. So people can do it, but the reason most people never do is not because the target's too big. It's actually because the target's too small. Which is, it's backwards from the way everybody would think. However, it's too small in that you get 365 days to put up a measly $100,000. Like we lose focus, we see 42 squirrels, right? We stop working leads along the way. We take 3 vacations. Like it's a year. It's such a long time. So if anything, we raise the targets and then we take a year target and we put it in 90 days. Or we take a 6-month or a 90-day target and we accomplish it in a month. Or we take our best month ever and then we try to do that in a week. Right? It creates a lot of obsession and urgency along the way because of that. Also, when we're hiring team members, staff, salespeople, agents, whatever, we always ask them one single question. But we ask ourselves one single question. We don't ask them this, or they would probably just say, I'm better. We ask ourselves one question before we hire someone. Did they make our team worse, the same, or better? If they make our team worse, we're definitely not hiring them. If they make our team the same, probably shouldn't hire them because the team needs to get better. But if they make our team better, then we should automatically hire them every single time. It's one question we ask ourselves before we hire anybody. Okay, I got a ton of stuff to go through. I got 37 minutes, so I'm moving quick. Would you follow you? Feel free to take notes, pictures, whatever you got to do. Would you follow you? Great leaders have structure. We have an 8:30 company-wide meeting every single day. You can see as I talk through a lot of this, we're just more intentional than most companies in the U.S. Right? Only 4% of companies in the U.S. produce 7 figures or more a year. But they all could. But some are just not intentional. Like there's no structure, nobody knows what they're doing, they just wake up and do whatever they want. Like show up, don't even clock in, show up late, take 42 smoke breaks, I don't care what you do as long as you're here. Fantastic job. And you stayed, amazing. Like people are struggling to hire people and you're staying with me. Wow, it's like I should give you a raise just because you stayed. Like that's the business we operate in. What's interesting too about companies in the U.S. is 76% of companies in the U.S. have 27 days of spare cash available, which means COVID happens and 28 days later they're out of business. Right? Well, you saw plenty of restaurants go out of business. Could they have innovated, got creative, flipping door knock to sell burgers, come to my house and cook steaks? Like during COVID, I actually called the local steakhouse and said, hey, it's my wife and I's anniversary. I would like to hire a chef and a server and your most expensive meals and wine, and I would like you to bring it to my house and cook it here. It was a couple grand, but my wife still talks about it, and it was flipping incredible. But nobody thought to do that during that time, did they? It's just different. 8:30 company-wide meeting, we share wins, client successes, and a motivational talk every day. 8:40, we do a sales team training, live training, energy, and role play every single day at 8:40. We're live training. If I'm there, I'm doing the training, actually speaking to the sales team every single day for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. If I'm not there, they're still doing this every single day, like clockwork. Energy is because I believe in continuing to motivate and enthuse and energize your people. So we'll do like push-ups or jumping jacks or squats or go run around the building or something to wake ourselves up. Because you hire a bunch of millennials and they may be like they went to bed at 3 a.m. or they're drunk or whatever, right? Well, when they're there, I'm going to wake them up and get them focused for the day that we're about to have. I'm not going to just let them just walk in and be half asleep for the day. That's not how to run a business. And then we role play. We stand up while we role play, and we're role playing something specific. Maybe the appointment script, whatever we're doing, but we're role playing back and forth. That's at 8:40. At 9:11, we have a 911 operational team meeting. That's where each person explains what tasks they're going to accomplish that day. So if we've got one of the team members, Dustin, he's like, hey, I'm working on this, 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 and this. Okay, which order? What's the priority? What's the order? What's the deadlines? When are you going to get this done? Oh, actually, you know what? This is actually more important to me now, so move it to the top of the list, move everything else down, and let's have that one done by Friday. Right? Like everybody knows what everybody is doing every single second of the day. I know what projects they're working on, and I don't have to go and like micromanage them and look over their shoulder and be like, hey, Dustin, yeah, you didn't code that right, man. You know, like, dude, I want to know what they're doing. I want to know the deadline. I want to stay in communication, but I want to give them freedom to go do their job at the same time. But I believe in monitoring and knowing what's going on in the organization. So we do that every single day at 9:11. It's 10, 15, 19 minutes at the most with just the ops team. 12:30 to 1:30, our sales team takes lunch every single day for an hour. And some would say, well, okay, so, and these are inside sales teams I'm talking about with our different companies that are not the agencies that I have ownership in. But these inside sales teams, we're taking lunch, and somebody asked me yesterday, they said, hey, because I was on our Power Player Mastermind call. We have almost 100 agency owners in a mastermind, and we do a monthly Zoom and 2 big events a year. And in that Zoom, one of the guys said, why do you not stagger the lunches? Why do everybody go to lunch at once? Well, if I had a call center and I was taking inbound calls, I'd probably do that. We don't, and ours is more outbound. However, when we added the training at 1:30, then I wanted to know where everybody was at every second of the day, and I wanted everybody back for the training. And so then they come in, and there's a meeting at a certain time as soon as they arrive, and then when they get back, they got to be back by a certain time for lunch because there's also a training, right? So I know every single step of the way when they're getting there, when they're getting back. So at 1:30 we do a second sales team training, again, more live training, energy, and role playing. I truly believe, and I've seen it to be true, if salespeople are left up to their own devices, they'll just do whatever they want, right? They just will. Salespeople need structure, especially new salespeople. They need something to plug into. So question again, would you follow you? Great leaders accept responsibility. It's not about being right. It's about moving forward. I'm wrong plenty, but as long as we accomplish something to move on, it's phenomenal. Doesn't even matter. And I'd rather us try a bunch of stuff and be wrong than just always do stuff slow and accomplish less and be right all the time. That's more of a corporate America way of thinking. It's not the way of thinking that can succeed more today, though. I also want to provide feedback along the way. Like if we're looking at these projects that Dustin's working on from our ops meeting, or I'm looking at a website, and I'm like, I see stuff that I don't like, I'm not going to wait and like tell him later or tomorrow or next week or 2 weeks from now. I'm going to say, hey buddy, you did an incredible job. You're doing awesome. Let's move this here. Can you do that for me? Yes. Okay, great. And it's not an hour conversation. It's like 12 seconds. But I'm providing feedback constantly throughout the day. Also, we welcome new ideas. One of our new team members, Allie, she said, do we need an ambassador program? She said, I've been a part of companies that have ambassador programs. She said, we have hundreds of thousands of agents that are following us around the world in other countries and in our country, et cetera. She said, we need an ambassador program for them to get see behind the curtain and be involved or whatever. I'm like, well, I think it's a cool idea. I don't know what it looks like, but you go work on it and come back and we'll talk about it and we may implement it. It's not that it wasn't my idea, so we're not going to do it. It was, hey, it could be a good idea. Go work on it, see what you can come up with, come back, we'll meet about it, and we may do it. We haven't done it yet, but we might. Also, communication. We're communicating every second, every day. So we're super active in Slack. There's a lot of companies that the way they staff communicates is still through email, which is absolutely nuts and insane. There's quicker ways to communicate than email. Nobody likes email actually anyway. There's stuff like Slack and other office communication devices that you can talk, and they're free too. We're super active in Slack. When our team makes a sale, it hits our Slack. Everybody knows. Right? Our managers are able to go report on what everybody did every single day at the end of every day. I didn't even mention this recently, but our different team leaders, Rodney, Derek, et cetera, they go and tell me what everybody, how many calls everybody made for the day, how many appointments they ran, how many sales they made, and how much money they made every single day at the end of the day before they leave. That's what the managers are reporting, what everybody else did. Right? It's holding them accountable to what their team members are doing, and it's keeping them, the managers, it's keeping their eyeballs on what their salespeople are doing that are working underneath them as well. Because if they see zeros and a lack of activity too much, it's going to start to resonate where if they're not keeping track of it, they may go a week and have no clue that somebody's just taking the week off. So we're super active in that regard. How do you handle conflict? Do you accept responsibility? Do you apologize? Is it like, can you say I'm sorry? Do you say thank you? Like these are things that team and staff members love because they want to know, like if I make a mistake, hey, my bad, I did it wrong, won't happen again, let's move on, right? Like they like that, they appreciate that, they respect that. I mean, there's some leaders that just have to be right and they're never wrong ever. Dude, nobody wants to work for somebody like that. Would you follow you? Would you follow you? Also, facilitators is supposed to be on the right column. Above the right column, it kind of moves, so we'll just act like it's over there. Do you operate your team more as a dictator or a facilitator? Dictators, they hoard decisions. Facilitators, they push decisions downline. I mean, there's a lot of decisions I don't need to make. I've got amazing team members that can just make the decisions and we can move on. If they make them wrong, they make them wrong. But we can accomplish more by making them just on me not having to make them all. Dictators, they make decisions alone. Facilitators, they involve others in key decisions. Dictators, they view like knowledge and information as their domain. In our office, like everybody knows what everybody's doing every second of the day. Because of the meetings, we have TVs and dashboards around the office that shows what everybody's done, every call, every text, every email, every cell, all of it. Everybody can see what everybody's done every single day. Facilitators, they make everything accessible to everyone. Our company knows how much everybody sold, how much unassigned revenue we did, how many tickets we've sold. Like I don't like protect the information. Everyone knows it. Technically, they could add up what we have in unassigned revenue and sales revenue and know what we did in revenue every month, but who cares? They don't know if we made any money or not. And there's plenty of months in a business owner you just don't because you spend a lot. Dictators, they surprise their coworkers with verdicts. One of the things I used to do is we added so many people, we run out of space that I started like just moving people and all their stuff into like a different part of the office and just didn't tell them. And they would show up and they'd be like, well, where am I now? That's not a great way to run a company. That was a mistake. I'm learning from that, right? But instead of surprising them with verdicts of here's what we're going to do, like some communication, like they want to be a part of the process. Now, am I going to make the ultimate decision? Yes. But am I going to bring them involved in a lot of decisions because I want to make sure we're making the right one? Totally. And I need to hear them out. Facilitators let those responsible decide how the jobs are done. Dictators guard their interest. Facilitators serve everyone else's interest by developing. Dictators take for themselves. Facilitators give back to the organization. Would you follow you? You also see why I just don't use PowerPoint a lot. I need to have the team design it or something because when I do it, it's just everywhere. That's why you see when I speak, I also don't ever use PowerPoints at all except for like workshops and breakouts. Most people on stage use them. I don't because I want people's eyes on me when I'm speaking, and also when I've got to constantly be like going to a PowerPoint and like making sure I'm staying on track, I'm not able to like think freely. It's just how my brain works. So I don't know why that matters, but it's fun. Would you follow you? 5-step process for training people. As you're bringing on salespeople, as you're training, first is model. There needs something for people to model when you're plugging them in. Model. Second is mentor. Mentor them along the way. Also maybe plug them into a mentor so someone is actually helping them along the way. Third M is monitor. My father always said, inspect what you expect. If you expect someone to do something, inspect that it happened or that it's happening. Don't just hope and pray it's happening and think, well, maybe I'll check in a month. Monitor what's happening throughout the day. I'm not saying micromanage them. Also, the next supposed to be a 4 instead of a 1. You can see 1 through 5. We talked about this, okay? 3 is monitor. Monitor is so important. 4th, or the second one, is motivate. Okay, you need to be, don't underestimate how much you need to motivate and re-enthuse your people throughout the day. They have to be motivated and fired up I'm not saying every second, but literally, that's why we do the meetings, to refocus and to re-energize. And then multiply. The second 2 or number 5 is multiply. Then you have something you can multiply because you have something that people can model. You're mentoring them. You're monitoring their progress. Everything's very transparent. Accountability. You're motivating them so they're excited, and then you're able to multiply that amongst other people. Would you follow you? 5-step process for training people. Would you follow you? Next is transparency of numbers. Okay, so we want to be very transparent to what's happening. Every second of the day, I want transparency. So that we have certain, again, in Slack, we've got all these different parts of Slack. When we have a cell from our HubSpot account, it instantly hits Slack. We have sales tracking channels where people go and submit their cells with all the information for the different team members in the billing department to take it from there, right? Like there's all these processes, but it's super active and everybody can see what's happening throughout the day, and a bunch of people are all in these different Slack channels, right? But I love the transparency on dashboards and TV so everybody knows what's going on. There's also daily accountability to expectations. Did I share the 100 yet, or was that the last session? This is all running together, man. We do 100 calls every single morning for every sales rep between 9 and 12:30 before they go to lunch. I think Josh made 280 calls or whatever a couple days, last, I don't know, whatever day it is now. Monday or Tuesday in one day, right? Well, that's because him and I had a talk, and I love him, but his activity wasn't where it needed to be. Our core value is results oriented, right? And we move with speed. If someone's got, 4 calls, 14 calls, 42 calls for the day, like what did they actually do over the course of the whole day? It's amazing what you could do when you're focused on it. Not only is there accountability, we've got actual appointment setting scripts and outlines for demos and tons of call recordings and Zoom recordings. And this is the script we're going to use, and we're role playing this and follow this and don't deviate until you're phenomenal. Right? Well, that's accountability to where everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So 100 calls before lunch, and then if they're not running a bunch of appointments, any spare second they have in the afternoon after training between 2 and 5:30, there's 100 texts and 100 emails that have to go out. Well, that provides a lot of clarity of, hey, I got here, okay, it's 9 a.m., what do I do now? Right? No, we're doing this, we're all doing this. And so it provides a lot of clarity so that everybody's doing the exact same thing, and then you end up with a lot better sales organization, because I said this in the last session. What's the main purpose of a business? Why does someone start a business? I think I heard make money, didn't I? That's it. Yes, there's other reasons along the way, but people open up a business first and foremost to make money. So if these items can help us in our organization be much more intentional about how to run an organization and take it more seriously. You think about all the agency owners and offices, insurance offices around the country. What percentage do you think do all these things I'm sharing today? And we're not perfect, we're learning, we're still a long way off. 1%? 2%? And then we wonder why 92% of agents fail and a bunch of agency owners are about to go out of business and they're struggling. I had a lady a few years ago, she came to me, she said, she was running a PNC office out of Oklahoma. She said, hey, I'm 60 days from closing the doors. I'm well, thanks for waiting until the end. She said, I need your help. I said, okay, it's normally this, but I do want to help you, so I'll do it for this, and I'll come spend the day at your office. I rarely ever do that, by the way, and if I did, it'd be a ridiculous number that nobody would ever accept. However, I did this a lot more years ago. And just because you also, too, at some point, you got to start valuing your time. You know what I mean? We're not a charity. I love giving back. I love doing special stuff. But at some point, if I'm always doing other stuff and I'm not generating revenue, then guess what? My team members are going to have to get another employer because they're not making any money and I can't pay them, right? Because it's all a trickle effect. And so I went into her office and we spent the day together. And this is probably the average office. There's barely hours. People show up late. They never train. There's no activity. Nobody knows what they're supposed to do. Someone calls in to cancel a policy. There's no script. Someone's trying to make a sale, or they want to bundle, or they want to cross sell when they're on the phone, or they want to add a life policy, whatever. There's no script. There's no training. It's just ask, hey, do you want to add a life policy? Well, nobody wants to. Let's be honest. Now you get the occasional one of every 1,000 people that are like, yes, I would love to buy life insurance right now, right? Well, it's going to happen, but it's super rare. Nobody ate lunch together. There was no community. It was just, you know what I mean? It was a typical insurance office in the U.S. that doesn't take it seriously. I think we do at first. I think truthfully, at first, as business owners, we take it very seriously at first. And then something happens over time and we just get lazy. We stop being intentional about success. We forgot why we want to do this business and create generational wealth and make all this money for our future families and take care of all of our team members and like do something special and have a bunch of fun. We did. We intended on all that happening in the beginning. But then over time, we almost like distance ourselves so much from our team, be like hire managers. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to know anybody's name until they like are, incredible. And then we just get so distant from the organization that then we wonder why it doesn't succeed because we started with an identity. The identity was us. And then later on in life and in business, we lose the identity. And then the company looks nothing like we thought it would. And the company is totally different than we originally intended when we opened it. That kind of sucks, right? It does. And there's been plenty of moments, I'm speaking from experience, there's been plenty of moments over the last 6.5 years of building these different companies with staff that I've gotten too distant. Right? I shared some of this before. I lost a COO and 75% of one of my sales teams a year ago. That was my fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault. It was 100% my fault. Now, is our company better since they left? 1,000%. I don't miss them for a second. But it was my bad.
How do you correct something like that?
How do you correct something? That's a good question. So the natural instinct in human nature is like, well, they weren't any good. They didn't do this. Then we start going around to the team members and be like, can you believe that they're losers, man? Like they left. But we don't even need them, do we? Like they were terrible. And then they're thinking, the other team members like, they were better than me. What are you talking about? What do you think about me if they were terrible, right? How I fixed it is I started actually caring about team members. Like there's team members that have been there a long time, Dylan included. That dude, we got a special bond. Love the dude. He's incredible. I know a lot about him. He's been there for he's been there over 4 years. That's easy. But someone that's been there like 12 days, we just don't seem to care. We just don't seem to care. Or if somebody leaves, or I used to say stuff like, you know what? If people leave, they leave. We're charging on. Like this thing is amazing and it's big and it's incredible. And if we lose people, they're bad. They're jumping off the ship too soon. They're going to drown. It's just dumb, right? Well, I had to look internally and say, like I would say a year ago personally, a lot of the relationships in my life were not where they should have been. And it was 100% my fault. I was so focused on just making money and charging forth that I forgot about everybody in my life. Family, wife, team members, like all those things. I wasn't giving them the care and attention that they deserved. And I had to just look internally and say, hey, that's on me. And what really woke me up is right after that happened, one of the team members, his name's Derek. I don't even know if he realized he did this. I mean, he does now, but I don't know if he realized he was doing this for this reason at the time. He's been with me over 4 years too. He runs my sales team. Awesome. Love the guy. He invited me to a men's conference called Bold in Springfield, Missouri, right outside Springfield, Missouri. And there was a couple of pastors there. One speaks in Dubai and all over the place. He's incredible. Another local pastor, he's incredible too. He actually is in charge of, he's the pastor of the church that I go to now, Courageous Church in Springfield, Missouri. And one of them said something, and it was all about intentional. The whole message, the whole night was all, and this has just happened, like days before. The whole message was about intentional relationships.
He works in mysterious ways.
He does, man. It's crazy. I'm sitting there like, why? Like, at first I'm like, men's conference? Like, can't we at least make it co-ed? Like, what are we doing? I thought it was weird that just men came to hang out at a conference. I did, I swear. Dude, it was one of the coolest things I've ever been to. And it woke me up as a leader. It woke me up as a person. Sometimes we need somebody to just punch us in the gut. We don't want it, but we need it. And there was another thing that was said at some point in the night. It said, maybe you're just fitting in when you were truly called to stand out. And in a lot of ways, I may have been standing out in certain areas, but in a lot of ways I was fitting in. I wasn't standing out in my marriage. I wasn't standing out for my team. I wasn't standing out for the new people that were coming into organization. But I needed to, And so now we do those little things. I'm texting our team constantly. I'm checking on them, even when I'm gone. When I'm gone, I used to never talk to anybody for days and weeks, other than like just the COO. That's insane. That's like the death of a company. Now I'm checking on people constantly. I'm in Slack. I'm super active. I'm calling people all the time. How's it going? Is there anything I can do? Anything I can help you to do, today? People are hitting sales goals, having monster weeks. Devin's at 40K for the month, 19K like last week, 16K, 19K, whatever it was, a big number, right? 19, even better. He's like, don't shortchange me. It's 19, bro, okay? Dude, and I'm letting Devin know. That's incredible. That's awesome. I would have never known that a year ago. I had to be more intentional about knowing what was actually going on. So a lot of this stuff I've learned over time. I've learned from others. I've learned from John Maxwell and all these other people in the world that are way more impressive than me. And then some of this we just learned because of trial and error and problems. It's kind of interesting. This has nothing to do with my notes, and I got 8 minutes. But I'm kind of enjoying this little churn and where it's going, so thank you. I believe in life that problems are a blessing. I believe that trials and tribulations are a blessing. I believe that sacrifices are a blessing. Because T.D. Jakes always says that if you're going through a lot of struggle in your life, that maybe you're being tested for that next level of leadership. We all say we want to reach our full potential, we want to be better leaders, we want to be incredible people, but we struggle to we give in too soon. We give up. We actually hate that we're going through the trial and the trouble. Like, you know what? We sent out some automated voicemails, some voicemail drops. Okay, talk about being vulnerable, which I'm trying to be better at as a speaker, by the way, because people enjoy it, it's good, but I hate it. We dropped some, for our Ultimate Agent contest, we did some voicemail drops into some people in our audience. And we get a lawsuit in the mail. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Well, found out this person is suing 29 people at the same time that all did voicemail drops. Well, we never do cold anything. All 60,000 people on our email list have totally opted in. They want information from us most of the time. They at least ask for some information at some point, right? Well, I'm going through this, and initially I'm like, this person's a scam, and they're trolling people, and this is ridiculous, and what's going on? Maybe it's one of those moments that's a blessing. Now, am I going to have to pay this person to go away? Did I have to just give an attorney $10,000 retainer to retain them? To pay somebody else money for something that is ridiculous? Yes. But is it a blessing? Is my team going to learn from it? Am I going to learn from it? Am I going to be better because I went through the situation? Yes. So technically it's a blessing. So whatever the person's name is, I forget. Thank you. But along the way, the last thing we want to do is realize that we're being put through those things because we are becoming a better version of us. And what's interesting is if we ever throw in the towel as we're going through these things, what we're really saying is, I don't want to go any higher, I don't want to get any better, I don't want to reach my full potential. But the truth is we do. And so a year ago, I had to go through long story short, I had to go through a lot of stuff that I just didn't want to go through. But I needed to go through it. And there's things that some of you are going through right now that you need to go through. You're going through it for a reason. It's actually a blessing because you're going to be better once you get to the other side of it. And that's just true for everybody. Good question. Clear steps and vision. I'll finish up my notes. I could talk for days, as you can see, and I'll just see 42 squirrels and totally forget what I was even talking about. But I'll have some fun while I'm doing it. Clear steps and vision for growth. People need to know that there are clear steps and vision for them to grow in your company. If Dylan was just putting up YouTube videos forever, he would eventually leave. Now, he's producing reality shows and documentaries, and he's traveling the world, and we're on private jets all the time and all this stuff. Now, Dylan's having more fun this year. I don't know if he likes private jets as much as I do, but he's having more fun this year than he's probably ever had in the company history combined. Is that fair to say? It's part of it, right? Some people want to advance in money. Some people want to advance in experiences. Some people actually want to advance in titles. Dylan doesn't care about titles. Devin, he doesn't really care about titles either, but he would love to advance and become a leader in our organization and have other salespeople on his team. Well, I need to have those conversations and know those things so that when the time's right, I can actually groom him along the way. I can put him in pressure cooker situations. I can throw him in the fire and see how he performs along the way. And then maybe when the time's right, because he does deserve to be that at some point. You know, like he's super loyal, incredible, works hard, phenomenal at face-to-face sales, really good with people, treats our operations team incredibly, better than any salesperson we've ever had. And they comment about that all the time. Well, that stuff's important, right? But it's clear steps for vision and growth. We also do a DISC assessment with all of our hires. You can do a DISC assessment for free on Tony Robbins' website. So we stopped paying for it and just send people to Tony Robbins' website, and they do it for free there, and they get the PDF and they send it to us.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, it's a little more abbreviated version, but it still works. What's interesting about the DISC is it'll give you a different, like, D is like, I'll just give you my own example of it. You're like super driven, hard charger, risk taker, right? I, you're like influential. You influence people. You're like the life of the party. You're fun. You're a networker. S, it's more like service related. C is more like compliance and computer and like, you know, like that kind of thing, right? To give you a super abbreviated quick version. I'm at high D, low I, right? Which wouldn't surprise anybody. However, they also give you like different titles about people when they take the test, like the formalist or the producer or some of these others. Well, the formalist, we have a formalist on our sales team and we have a producer on our sales team. The person that got the producer on the DISC is number 1 out of the 4 new sales reps we have. Surprise, surprise. The DISC told us he probably would be. The formalist wants to know, and they can be good, they can be great for a sales team, but they can take a long time to get going. They want to know everything before they do anything. They want to know all the pieces. And I'm not saying that's bad, but they just want to know all the pieces before they run. And they want to feel like they're being brought up, right? But they can be phenomenal if you can take time to groom them and make sure they're aware of all the details, right? Not my personality, but I'm getting better at it. But that's why a DISC is really important for an organization. Strategies to scale. Okay, details delay, just move on. That's all, just move on to. Gain time, make decisions fast. The faster you can make decisions, the better. That whiteboard method, scale now, right? Like, don't wait. Like, you're like, you know what, I'm going to start adding people in a year. Maybe now is the better time. The whiteboard method I talked about yesterday, where we have an idea, we want to go from A to B, and then we get all the team together and we get ideas on what we're going to do, and then we circle some. That works so well with everything we're doing. Number 4 is people. Most people don't delegate because they don't trust the people they're delegating to. There's also a little, it's not an assistant P&L, but it's an assistant formula for whether you should have an assistant or not. Okay, so I'll give you the example. A lot of people are like, should I hire an assistant? Well, it's math, so let's find out. The math is, if let's just say that, you know what, I'll do a real example, okay? And you can share whatever you want to share, right? You're in the hot seat now, sorry. Okay, what's your name again, by the way? Mark? Awesome, Mark, thank you, buddy. How many hours of your week are you doing stuff that an assistant could probably do? 10, 20, whatever.
I'd probably say 20.
20 hours, okay? And how much do you make per hour? You can make it up.
While I'm doing that, or while
Just in general, throughout the whole year. You say you made $1 million a year, that's $500 an hour, right? Say you made $250,000, that's $250 an hour. Say you made
60, 75.
Okay, so let's just say he makes $75 an hour, and the assistant could actually take 20 hours off. Well, 20 times 75 is $1,500. $1,500 in his time per week. So let's just say that, what do you think you could hire an assistant for? How much an hour?
In California?
Oh, you're in California.
You're looking at least 15, 20.
An hour? Yeah, so let's just say 20 an hour. So $800. Okay, $800 a week.
Yeah.
$1,500. He almost gets a 2-to-1 investment on his own time. He should have an assistant, right? I don't know if you do or not, but you get the idea. Because then he's got, do what?
I said I like your style.
Okay, then he's got 20 hours freed up. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're gonna love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. If you had to put in like 3 tips based around how anyone can sell thousands of dollars a week without having to spend money, they're getting creative, they're working referrals, whatever. I don't know what advice you got, but is there 3